Welcome to the Accelerated World. Accel World is an amazing full dive experience. This anime never really drew me in when it first came out because of the weird looking battle avatars, but thankfully they actually fit with the nature of the narrative. It's a really good anime, but why isn't it more popular? That's unfortunately because it shares an author with the highly acclaimed Sword Art Online. Kawahari Reki wrote both of these light novels around the same time, and the two anime came out around the same time too. We know that Sword Art Online took off with huge popularity, but I believe Accel World to be the better anime. Big up the 700th subscriber to the channel, Gaming with Fahad. Thanks to Central Anime for recommending Accel World, and let's get into it. For me, both Accel World and Sword Art Online have very good introductory episodes, which introduce the main plot and set the tone for the entire series. Accel World Episode 1 reveals that Arita is a loser, while SAO Episode 1 reveals that Kirito is unstoppable. This is the very point where the narratives diverge. Arita has so much room for growth as a character, and effectively introduces us to the mechanics of the accelerated world as he learns them himself. Kirito is already breaking the mechanics of SAO when we are introduced to him. I honestly feel that the plot concept of Accel World is one of the wildest I've ever seen. Through a neural link, Arita and the other characters install a software called Brain Burst. This allows the user to manipulate the brain's perception of time, thus essentially slowing time. And what do they do with this ability, you ask? They play an augmented reality massively multiplayer fighting game. Imagine developing technology to save lives and deciding to use it to make a video game. The characters fight each other in duels to earn burst points. Using acceleration abilities in the real world depletes burst points, and once your burst points hit 0, the game is deleted from your neural link. Even the anime itself points out how ridiculous it is that they use the technology for this purpose. So, now that we have the background covered, let me tell you why I think Accel World is a better anime than Sword Art Online. First, like I stated earlier, the shortcomings of Arita makes the narrative of growth and development more compelling. When the anime begins, Arita is a short and fat guy with no moral force. We watch as he overcomes bullies, gains the interest of females, and becomes skilled at brain burst. So by the end of this first season of the anime, he's still short and fat, but mentally tougher and more tolerable to watch. The second reason beyond the protagonist is the quality of the writing. Accel World is well written, because even though the characters are not in immediate mortal danger, the stakes still feel high for each scenario. The underlying stakes are generated as a result of the Brain Burst game's core mechanics. The mechanics state that if a player's burst points are reduced to 0, Brain Burst will uninstall itself from the neural link. The players lose the ability to Brain Burst as well as all the memories associated with the game. This represents a significant loss, especially since some of these characters have logged literal years worth of screen time in the game. We also see that characters like Arita heavily associate Brain Burst with their self-image. Considering how dissatisfied with life he was before Brain Burst, losing the game for him would be a fate worse than death. The stakes are then raised for individual scenarios. SAO cannot get this level of impact because even though dying in game kills you in real life, because of how broken Kirito is, the audience never gets the opportunity to believe that he or any of the other main characters are ever in any real danger. In fact, In order to raise the stakes in SAO alicization and make the story interesting, the narrative had to literally remove Kirito for about half a season. The visual style for Accel World in comparison to SAO could be considered a turn-off. I will admit that I thought this at first too, especially because of how inhuman the avatars are, but on this point I was wrong. Everything makes sense in the context of the story. The characters actually have two avatars. One is a social VR avatar, and the next is their battle avatar for the game. It's interesting because the social avatar is created by the user, but the battle avatar is created by the game, and it uses one's own subconscious to generate the avatar. It's interesting because both the appearances and abilities of the avatar reflect the character and act as indirect characterization. It then makes sense that the Silver Crow, Arito's avatar, is tall, slender, and able to fly, as his wielder is short, fat, and unhappy with his life in the real world, yearning for an escape to the skies. Speaking of Silver Crow, I would like to point out that the Burst Link avatars have the same naming convention as JoJo stands. They even have poses. This isn't relevant, just wanted to point this out. Going back to the narrative, another reason why Accel World is better is the justifications for each character. Case in point, Kirito is introduced to us as being overpowered from the very start of the game. The explanation given is that he played the beta for SAO. That's great and all, but then why years later he's still ridiculously overpowered even after taking a long break from the front line? Look at the superior logic of Accel World. Kuriyuki Hime is presented as the strongest character in the season of the anime. She also acts in a manner well beyond their age. Another strong character is Unico. Both of them are level 9, with Brainburst having a level cap of level 10. Unico is a middle schooler but acts like an old woman. The anime at some point alludes to the fact that Kuriyuki Hime and Unico have spent copious amounts of time in the game world. Because of the acceleration, their physical age is the same, but their neurological age is well advanced. The anime didn't specify, but it is assumed that they have spent several years worth of time in the accelerated world. This goes a far way in explaining the imperious nature of the characters and why their behavior seems so advanced in age. Similarly, the anime explains that in order to be a burst linker, you would have to have the Neuralink installed from birth. This technology was developed 15 years ago, therefore burst linkers can't be older than 15. This explains why all the characters are kids. The narrative for Accel World feels better constructed as a result of the reasons I've indicated. In terms of action and animation, Sword Art Online wins. Accel World's battles are good, but not amazing like some of the Sakuga set pieces in SAO. I suspect that could be purely down to the budget, however. Another thing I found interesting was the directing style of the anime. Masakazu Obara paid tribute to the early and mid 2000s anime. The anime has a nostalgic style with the animation and the general direction. Even the opening and ending, which are amazing by the way. SAO on the other hand helped dictate how anime and isekai were directed through the entire 2010s. So ultimately, SAO constructed the future while Accel World was inspired by the past, at least in terms of the direction and presentation. I also like the fact that there are several crossovers in the two anime. Even SAO's Nerve Gear makes a cameo appearance in Accel World. I strongly recommend checking out Accel World, but please note that the anime came out in 2012 and there is still no season 2. I'm doing an anime graveyard video next with all the current details for the second season of this. Subscribe and stay tuned if you want to see that. Thanks for watching today. Catch you next time.